Alright, so today we're going to be changing the transmission filter on the 2003 Suburban. Now, when you order your filter, you'll need to know if you have a deep or shallow pan. And let me see if I can explain this. So if you look, this pan, first of all, it's got a drain plug, but they had deep and shallow pans with drain plugs. But the telltale sign is if I can get you where you can see it. But see this deep, here's a deep part here, then it goes shallow to clear the exhaust crossover pipe. The shallow pan will all be one depth. The deep pan has this shallow part and then the deep part. I can show you a little better this way. Can't really see this way, but that pan will show you. So, what we'll need, so anyway, whether you have a deep or shallow pan, make sure you get the right filter. So, we've got a 15 millimeter for the drain plug. So we'll drain the pan, then put the plug back in, and then undo. I think there's like 16 bolts. I can't remember. I think there's 4 on each, kind of like 4 on each side. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 bolts. And the bolts that hold the pan are 13 millimeter, so you'll need a 15 millimeter and a 13 millimeter. So let me get this drain plug out and we'll let the transmission fluid drain into our drain pan. So, unfortunately, that happened. Now it is a 5/8, it is a 15, and I have a 15 millimeter 6-point socket. But that nut, that drain plug, the shoulder is so shallow on it. I mean, it's barely got a shoulder at all. And most sockets, if you look, they don't grip immediately. They've got a little tapered spot. So it's only gripping very outside, and of course, it's slipping. And that thing is super, super tight. So, no worries. Pans used to not even come with drain plugs. So we will do it the messy way, which will involve loosening these bolts. I'm going to leave one. I'll leave one in over here. And I'm going to basically leave one on each side. And then I will loosen the sides to where we just have the, I'm not going to take them out, but I'll loosen the side ones. Not loosen this back one. And I'll start loosening this front one. And the pan will drop towards the front and start draining into my pan. This is going to require both hands, so I hope I explained it well enough. But you don't want the pan to fall, so you leave bolts in it, and you want to pick the easiest spot for the pan to drop at one corner to start draining fluid, and that'll be your easily accessible spot, and that would be the front of this pan. And we've got a big drain pan, big around, so that'll be good to catch it. Alright, I've got the pan off and cleaned up, and I'll have to show you some stuff underneath, but we're ready to go ahead and put the new filter on. I think what I'll do first, though, is to well, first I'll tell you something about the filter. Make sure when you take the filter off, you've got this little, it's like a metal rubber, I don't know if you want to call it a gasket or this seal, and that's the seal that goes on the end of the filter. You'll take your new filter and you'll put that on there. You probably want to put a little bit of transmission fluid on here. This will go into the transmission, so you're going to have to probably pop this one out of the transmission. You'll need a little screwdriver, some needle nose pliers, something to pop that out. And the filter itself, all it does is pulls off. There's no bolts or anything to hold it on. Now, let me... Some of your pan gaskets have, they call it like a third hand, or I don't know what they call them, but it's a, they'll have a smaller bolt hole, and this one does not have it. A lot of the aftermarket ones do. So let's get this one off. I'll show you. What they'll do on a lot of the aftermarket ones is some of these bolt holes will be smaller so that you can start a screw in it that'll hold the gasket in place. This one does not. I've got the pan, like I said, I've got the pan all cleaned up. It actually looked really good for 160,000 miles. There were absolutely no metal, other than there were some clutch linings. The magnet was fairly clean, other than clutch linings, and you'll find clutch linings on just about everything, any transmission. So then I've got the gasket in place. What I'm going to do to hold the gasket is on the pan. I've got this VersaChem. This is Type 3 Aviation. It's gasket sealant. This stuff gets really tacky. I'm just going to put a light coat around the pan. This is like, it's thin. It's almost like a honey substance. Let me get it out. So here you can see it brushes on. It's really, it's thinner than honey, but maybe just a little bit thinner than like a syrup. And we're just going to kind of brush that around. And what that'll do, it'll help the gasket stick and it'll stay in place. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on. It gets real tacky. This I like using this stuff on sometimes on rubber gaskets too. This is about the only kind of stuff you would ever want to use on a rubber gasket, just because anything else will make a rubber one squish. This one will make it stick. This stuff is super tacky, and as it sets, it gets tackier. So just kind of a real thin coat. This is just to kind of help the gasket stick. And of course I cleaned the old gasket off real good. And then hit it with a little brass brush wheel. And just made sure it was extra clean. Get a good mating surface. I'm going to wipe that off on the inside of the pan. Do not use RTV on your transmission pan. Alright, so we've got that, got it all coated. And we will just stick this in place. line up all the bolt holes. Just kind of lightly stick it down, and I will let this tack up, let it get stuck while I am putting the filter on. So just sticking it. There we go. So let's go get the filter. Alright, I'm underneath, as you can see, and it's a clean looking transmission. And to get the pan off, I did have to take one bolt out of this shifter linkage holder. I took the back one out, it's right here. It's a Torx bit, it's a T40, and then just loosen the front one. I was able to pull this out of the way to get the pan down. It was hanging up there. It was either do that or drop the exhaust, because it was hanging up on the exhaust down here, and it wouldn't clear the valve body enough to slide forward. If you could have dropped it completely down like that, then it would have cleared this bracket, but it would not without. So that seemed like the easier thing to do, was just to take that off or loosen it off so I can move it out of the way. Transmission looks good and clean inside. The fluid is still a fairly nice shade of red. So what we need to do now is get the old filter off, and it just pulls off. Right here is where it snaps in, so you'll just you can kind of wiggle it back and forth. It just pulls out. Probably should be using both hands for this, but I got it. Alright, so like I said, up way down in there is, you can see that seal I was telling you about. Probably the easiest thing to do is to get a pair of needle nose on the lip of it and pull it out. So let me do that. Alright, so that seal is in, and I end up to get it out and use my seal puller. And this thing is a lifesaver. I actually bought it at a garage sale. It's a very good quality one. I don't know who makes it, but it's an old one and it's a good one. But it's basically a slide hammer with these jaws like this in it. I don't know if you can see, but as you loosen and tighten, these get open and close. You stick it in there, screw this down to where it catches and gets tied up against the lip of the seal, the metal part of the seal, pull it off. And then I just drove the new seal in with a, where's my seal driver? Where did it go? Used a 18mm socket backwards with an extension on it, an extension going in through the socket side, and drove that, used that to drive it in. So now that we've got that done, now we just need to slip the, oh, and I dipped the seal in transmission fluid before I did it, just so it would slide in good, and so the rubber part of the seal would get some on it. And now I'm going to do the same thing with this end, and then we just push this up in there until it's up in all the way, and I'll show you when I get done. Alright, new filter is in. It just pushes up in there, and then it'll stop. And then it just hugs up against this part of the valve body. So let me get the pan, and I'll get the pan bolt started. Alright, so I've got everything all torqued down, and you know, get all 4 sides, and then draw it up, and then go around and just snug them all up, and then go down and get a little bit tighter. Well, you want to do opposite corners first, and then go through and snug them all up, and then get them all torqued down. So they're all tight. Now, oh, and I put these 2 bolts in, or this one, put this bolt in from the top side, it holds this shifter bracket, and then tighten down the other one that I just loosened. So we're all tight, and the drain plug is tight because I never took it off, but I did check it as best I could, and it was still tight. Like I said, it kind of rounded off. So we're done under here. I can get all my mess out and pull the drain pan out, and we need to add some fluid now. And from my research, it looks like it'll hold 4 to 5 quarts. We'll see. Alright, so as you can see that, we're right at the top of the crosshatch mark. It's 5.5 quarts. So, we're full. So this one took right at 5.5. No idea how much yours will take, but somewhere around there. I put 4 in it and then started it up. And every time you add fluid to it, move the shift lever through all the gears, then come back out, check it with the engine idling, and it ends park. So anyway, thanks for watching.